You don't want to miss FIFA World Cup 2018.
Always been one of those challenges I've just had to do. See these guys that have done it and wanted to take it on and show that I've got what it takes, or at least find out if I have what it takes, because I know it's going to be tough. It's going to be the toughest thing I've ever done. I can't wait to get out there.
Trying to show that
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, March the 13th, 2018. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. An estimated $118 million to be spent on Belco's capital upgrade due to be completed by 2020. Belco customers will see a penny per kilowatt hour increase on their bill in the initial stages of the upgrade. But Sean Durfee, Belco's president and CEO, doesn't expect any price increases to be permanent. Here's Gary Moreno with more.
Bearing in mind that the price per kilowatt hour of electricity is 37 cents, we asked Mr. Durfee to do some quick math and give us an idea of just how much that penny increase will add up to for the average household power bill.
On an average, if you look at, I think we're at 350 kilowatt hours a month, and if you look at what that would be, it's probably about $12 on a bill for 1 penny.
But as we mentioned at the top, the hope is to ensure that does not become a permanent situation.
Over the long term, over the next 5 or 10 years, we're hoping to bring prices of electricity down on the island. That is our mandate and our goal over the next 5 to 10 years.
Still, the benefits of the upgrade and the potential cost savings, which will be passed on to consumers in the long run, will be worth the initial increase, according to Mr. Durfee, if only because of improved efficiencies.
Well, this new equipment, of course, will be much more efficient. There'll be less maintenance on that equipment. There'll be less fuel oil used to burn in that equipment, less lube oil. And overall, you take 9 generating units out of the system, you replace it with 4. So overall, we're hoping over the long term to really see some cost savings here.
Elsewhere, a proposed integrated resource plan is being looked at for the island. It's expected that will inform what power generation and use will look like in the future. So why then would Belco undertake these significant works before that IRP is finalized?
And that's looking out another 20 years and say, what does electricity and demand on the island look like in the next 20 years? And we've submitted that to the regulator on the 15th of February, and we hope to go into a consultation with all stakeholders in Bermuda going forward.
Belco has previously stated the upgrade of its facilities will also be beneficial to the environment, as it will allow the company to use cleaner liquefied natural gas for its power generation. But that's been put on hold, at least for the time being.
The actual generators are dual fuel, and until we actually come up with a policy, the government comes up with a policy, a fuel policy, we will still burn diesel and heavy fuel oil in our engines. But once they opine and come back with a policy that says, hey, you can use natural gas, then we would convert to natural gas, and of course, we all know the benefits of going to natural gas.
Belco will also include, as part of its capital upgrade, a new battery energy storage system, or BES, which will replace some of the utility's spinning reserve. That is, the extra generating capacity that is available by increasing the power output of its generators. Meanwhile, one of the more noticeable changes we understand will take place as a result of the improvement works is the removal of at least one of these chimney stacks here at the company's Serpentine Road headquarters. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And investigations continue into that single-vehicle road traffic collision, which occurred last night on Middle Road in Smiths Parish near the junction with Clarendon Road. The incident resulted in 6 individuals being taken to hospital. Latest updates are that one of them, an 18-year-old female passenger, is now listed in stable condition in the hospital's intensive care unit. Another 18-year-old female passenger, along with a 19-year-old male passenger, are both listed in stable condition, waiting to be admitted to a general ward. 2 other male passengers aged 20 and 27 have been treated and discharged. Meanwhile, the 25-year-old Warwick man who was driving the vehicle was himself treated at the hospital and discharged. He, however, was arrested on suspicion of impaired driving and remains in police custody. Again, anyone with information on this incident is asked to contact the main police number at 295-0011. In other news, Junior Minister of Legal Affairs Michael Scott urging the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Bermuda Police Service to get on board with the decriminalization of small amounts of cannabis. Legal legislation has been enacted to decriminalize amounts of 7 grams or less of the drug. Mr. Scott says while he understands the misgivings of the DPP, Larry Mussenden, and the BPS, they should not lose sight of the intention of the new law, which is to not limit the chances of the island's young people because of criminal convictions for weed possession.
Both the DPP, Mr. Mussenden, and many police officers were opposed. They were opposed because they have now to manage this context of not going in, and it's going to be a pretty normal, straightforward process, arrest. If the shoe fits, the evidence meets the crime of the offense, off to court. But I'm urging that they simply cooperate with this policy of decriminalization. It may well, Earl, one day lead to legalization, so that we actually just stop it. Back to the process. So the police officer has the option of confiscating the cannabis that's under 7 grams and giving the person a warning. They can charge them as well if, for example, the possession of the cannabis under 7 grams again is in one of those high-intensity zones, like near a school or near places where the Act says this is high intensity. I'm not using the correct legal words, but there are some certain areas that you have a higher penalty for having possession of drugs.
And Mr. Scott reminding decriminalization of amounts under 7 grams is not a license to openly engage in use of the still illegal herb.
Please conduct yourselves like you would for doing anything, like drinking in public. That's still, you can drink sensibly, you can smoke marijuana sensibly. In this case, you can smoke marijuana in circumstances where you're not seen or caught, because we have decriminalized 7 grams of it. But if you are apprehended and caught, there can be confiscation for sure, and there's not going to be a charge only unless it's over 7 grams. So we're trying to change the culture. But I think society one day, somewhere in the future, is going to reach the point where it's going to be normalized that under 7 grams and under is not a big deal, and it's a recognition that we are seeking not to have people's lives impacted and destroyed, in many ways really seriously harmed and hurt. Much more of this needs to happen in this society. I remember the Chief Justice has indicated in his writings, we are a heavily penalizing society, and it impedes young people's capacity to rise. This mustn't continue. We must do everything to ensure that we create the best environment for our young people to rise, to prosper, to engage in the economy.
Stay with us, more news in tonight's AccuWeather forecast after the break.
Hey Smokey, let's get lunch from the Marketplace Food Court.
You know what? That sounds good.
They have oxtails, pumpkin, curried lamb, lemon chicken, sweet and sour ribs, vegetable stir fry, and the variety goes on.
Their chefs are good. They'll set you right up with all the good carbons.
And don't forget the special dishes from the island.
It don't matter. No matter what you feel like eating, Market Base will have it.
You know it's quick, it's quality, and at prices you can count on.
Visit us 7 days a week. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner made for you daily at the Hamilton Marketplace Food Court.
The Department of Youth, Sport, and Recreation presents Victorious, Today's Girls, Tomorrow's Future, a celebration of females in sports. Under the distinguished patronage of the Honorable Premier, E. David Burt JP-MP, the 37th Annual Sports Awards celebration will be held on Saturday, March 17th at the Fairmont Southampton Resorts Mid-Ocean Amphitheater, starting at 7 p.m. Tickets are $15 and available at the Department of Youth, Sports, and Recreation, located on the 3rd floor of the Craig Appen House, number 8 Wesley Street, Hamilton. For more information, call 295-0855.
Welcome back. Stevedoring Services Limited has successfully completed their major move of essential cargo moving equipment to the docks at Wedco during the repaving work taking place at the City of Hamilton docks. Warren Jones, CEO of Polaris Holding Company, shared the challenges faced and the amount of agencies that came together.
We have to thank everyone involved. It's not just us, the Wedco, for allowing us to work on the dock. Bermuda Container Line have taken their ship there. Customs, security, truckers. When you talk about the docks, you're talking about the entire industry, and you're talking about the entire country. So we had to move 6 very heavy pieces of equipment out of Hamilton to Dockyard to make it work. Crane, 2 reach stackers, which are huge forklifts, a heavy lift forklift, a medium-sized forklift, and a tractor head, which is the front end of a truck, a tractor-trailer truck, in order to move everything that went. So the crane went by barge. We drove with police escort one of the forklifts up. We trucked another forklift up, and the rest of the equipment, the Oleander came into Hamilton last night. She loaded those 3 pieces of equipment, and they were unloaded first thing this morning.
Mr. Jones also discussed the issues of securing the dockyard facility.
Well, that's where when I started off talking about thanking Wedco and security and customs, truckers, we all had to get together to figure out how to make this work. It's a team effort. We sat down and looked at how is the dock going to be secured. So from the standpoint of the Hamilton Port Security, they mobilized up to Dockyard to provide security and access on that port. Customs are set up in their as they normally would on the Hamilton port and taking charge of the port as it relates to cargo. And then the truckers working with them to try to figure out how to stage that. And so together we've put that all together to make it work. But definitely it is a team effort.
And take note, everyone, Bermuda will join other localities in the Caribbean as a participant in a tsunami response exercise on Thursday, March 15th, titled Carib Wave 18. The purpose of this exercise is to evaluate local tsunami response plans, increase tsunami preparedness, and improve coordination throughout the region. The Bermuda Weather Service will receive direct email messaging from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center during the exercise, simulating a similar process to that of a real event. With these email notifications, the Weather Service will contact EMO as necessary and issue tsunami watches and warnings based on the email information received. These watches and warnings will be conveyed to the Bermuda community at large via all the usual media channels used by the Bermuda Weather Service. The 2018 exercise will simulate an earthquake along the Caribbean coast of Barbados. Residents should not be alarmed to note the exercise watches and warnings posted via the Bermuda Weather Channel on Cablevision and WOW and via weather telephone recordings. Once again on Thursday, March 15th, we will experience a tsunami warning exercise. It's only a drill to check on our preparedness, and of course, it's nothing for the public to worry about. Turning to weather news, mostly cloudy, a few showers, and increasing winds for our Wednesday. Here's the latest from AccuWeather headquarters.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
This AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by our friends at the BF&M Insurance Group, and we've had better days, but on the other hand, we've had worse days as well. We've had a couple of showers out there. It's been a very breezy time, and boating weather leaves a bit to be desired. We have large waves, 9 to 11, 12, 13-foot waves on one side of the island. You head to the west and northwest side, and there are even bigger waves in some spots, up to nearly 20 feet. Here is the estimate from satellite on where the heaviest and most widespread showers are, and you can see that cold front clearly pushed on through. Those showers are most numerous to our east. Maybe a stray sprinkle for a few left over, but really the main event's off to the east. And this is tied to the same storm system producing a blizzard in places like Boston in the U.S. So it has been a pretty impactful storm system for the eastern part of North America, and it's not over yet. We're still dealing with some impacts with that wind from the west at 22 to 26 knots. Humidity's back down a bit. Water temp 65 and steady. On the inside, we have 2 to 4 foot waves. On the outside, again, 9 to 20 footers are rolling, and for very good reason. Small craft warnings do remain in effect. So tonight, still a stray late night shower, but as we saw with that satellite estimated rain map, that stripe of rain is mainly to the east and moving away. So any showers later tonight are not going to be long lasting, and they're not going to be widespread. Just a few hit or miss little sprinkles here and there. Small craft warning through Wednesday, through Thursday morning, and through most of Thursday afternoon as well. High tide 6:50 later tonight, low tide. It'll come on back around 7:17 on Wednesday morning, and then another early afternoon low tide. But again, boaters beware, be careful out there. We have big waves, and if you're going to take grandmom out on that ocean kayaking trip, you may want to postpone that for a little while. We do have increasingly windy conditions tomorrow, still a brief shower or two. 67 degrees for your high. And as we move on forward here, Futurecast gives us a good idea of how these winds are going to continue to buffet us from the west. A strong blustery breeze. There's our storm system that's at least partially responsible for this. Another little reinforcing blast of wind from the west will roll in on Wednesday evening. So the seas are very agitated. Across the eastern half of North America, we have clouds in Toronto, a light spotty mix in New York, not a big deal. Boston, the heavy snow has been today. Lighter snow showers linger tomorrow. Atlanta, running cool for this time of the year. Miami, 74, still a little bit cooler than the norm. London's improving, though. Out in Western Europe, they're warming up pretty nicely, and that's an overdue change after a harsh couple of weeks in the rearview mirror. To the south, into the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago's brightening up and drying out nicely. Not a bad day in San Juan and Laventille and Scarborough, Tobago. As we look at the extended forecast, blustery and a couple of hit-or-miss rain showers over the next 2 days. But the ocean's going to be pretty agitated until Saturday, when the winds and the waves will calm down a bit. Showers roll in Sunday evening. Thanks for being with us. Stick around.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
All my life is changing every day. Every possible way. Then I open up and see the person falling here is me. 'Cause you're a dream to me.
Made with care, handled with care, delivered with care. That's what dreams are made of.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour programme is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits programme. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forward and actually looking where they're going, because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
Another day, another deal in the insurance industry. This time it's Bermuda-based Argo Group International that has finalized its $25 million acquisition of Italian specialty insurer Ariscom. Argo Group CEO Mark Watson III says the tie-up will help the firm expand its presence across Europe, particularly in Spain, Portugal, and Italy. Italy is one of Europe's largest and best performing property and casualty insurance markets. Ariscom, which has some 30 employees, was started by former banking and insurance execs a decade ago. Its coverage includes health and accidents, autos, aircrafts, and boats. According to reports, the company's finances crumbled in recent years. A London-based investment group backed by Italian families offered to buy the insurer, but the Italian regulator rejected the bid. Ariscom was put in state administration last year. Matt Harris, who currently heads up Argo's global European and Asian operations, will take over as managing director of Ariscom effective immediately. Argo says an aggressive relaunch is in the works. This deal comes just a year after Argo snapped up Bermuda-based reinsurer Ariel Re for $235 million. The insurance industry is in a state of consolidation as companies look to take advantage of U.S. tax reform, rising interest rates, and a global economic recovery. Just last week, French insurer AXA announced a $15.3 billion takeover of XL Group, and in January, AIG said it was buying Validus Holdings for more than $5.5 billion. Turning to sports, Bermuda football coaches are getting up to speed. Earl Basin has this and much more in tonight's Sports Report.
The Bermuda Football Association announced a few years ago that coaches will need licenses in order to coach in the leagues. The Bermuda Football Coaches Association have been hosting the UEFA C coaching license course. And Richard Todd, the organization's president, said,
"We're going to do every part to ensure that every coach has had the opportunity to achieve the license level that they are required and they need in order to be coaching. It now will become up to the BFA with regards to how do you handle those individuals who are not compliant, who have had the time to become compliant. Do you factor in and consider for an individual who's been coaching at the highest level, the Premier or the First Division, that does not have the required B license, but has made the effort to go get the C license? Are they given a window of a year or two in order to attain that? But at some point, your requirements and your regulations have to be enforced. Otherwise, the coaches will not comply, and they will continue to look for, a reason to be excused from doing it.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by the all-new Boundary at Fairmount, Southampton, the West End's only sports bar. Catch all the action and enjoy smoked to perfection barbecue, beer, and other pub favorites. It's game on at Boundary.
Well-known coach and instructor Jacques Cavazier is overseeing the course, explains the importance of obtaining a coaching certificate.
When they will be back in their clubs, they can offer a very good training for all the boys, not making mistakes, make the boy improve. If you want good players, you need good coaches. If you want good players, you need good coaches. I repeat it twice because it is the most important. And for the boys, it is funny because the exercises are good, they improve quicker, they're happy, everybody is happy. So it's important that it is compulsory now to have the C license to be a coach anywhere on the island.
Bermuda boxers Andre Lamb and Tyler Christopher will spring into action in the quarterfinal round of the Central American Caribbean qualifiers currently underway in Mexico. According to information obtained, Lamb is set to take on a fighter from Guatemala, while Christopher will take on a fighter from Panama. The 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games triathlon start lists have been released. Both Tyler Butterfield and Tyler Smith are listed in the elite men's field. They will line up against the Brownlee brothers as well as Cameron Roach from Bahamas, along with Jason Wilson and Matthew Wright from Barbados. World number one Flora Duffy lines up alongside her teammate Erica Hawley, and they will be challenged by the likes of Ashley Gentile and Andrea Hewitt. In the team event, Bermuda will go up against 7 other countries for a medal. Nathan Trott's West Ham United Academy director, Terry Wesley, said fine margins were the difference between victory and defeat in West Ham United's 1-0 Premier League 2 Division 1 loss to Chelsea. West Ham United created enough chances to defeat their opponents at the Chigwell Construction Stadium, only for a combination of hard luck finishing, fine goalkeeping from Chelsea goalkeeper Marcin Bulka, and an error from home stopper Trott to see them end an exciting 90 minutes on the losing side. 2 second-half tries secured a hard-earned victory 13-6 over Landovery for Brindley Toms and his Bedwards rugby teammates on a dry March evening. The Bedwards pitch held up well considering the wet weather leading up to this match. The continental qualifier for the 2018 Youth Olympic Games got underway in Argentina yesterday with Donovan Simmons in action twice on day one. Simmons officiated the second men's match of the day between Mexico and Paraguay that saw Mexico come out on top 2-1. Simmons will return later to officiate the match between host Argentina and Mexico. This match ended in a 3-3 draw. Lincoln Memorial claimed a win over Kirsten Soltis and her Catawba women's tennis teammates at the Lincoln Memorial University indoor tennis facility. It marked the opening league matches for both schools as the Lincoln Memorial women moved to 7-2 on the season, while Soltis and her teammates are 3-4. Soltis, playing in the number 6 singles spot, went down in straight sets 6-4, 6-2 to Angelisa Solano. In Friesenbrook Maya Continental Bowling League action inside the work lanes, it saw the Bermuda Pest Control defeat the Pinjammers 20-10. The Spice Snakes defeated the Cubs 20-10, while the Oddballs defeated the Invaders 27-3. Quicky Licky Laundry defeated New Hope 21-9, and the Nifty Rollers defeated the Underdogs 26-4.
Tonight's sports has been brought to you by the all-new Boundary at Fairmont, Southampton, the West End's only sports bar. Catch all the action and enjoy smoked to perfection barbecue, beer, and other pub favorites. It's game on at Boundary.
I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
You can count on us.
Red or white seedless grapes, only $3.99 per pound. Fresh Purdue chicken leg quarters, only $1.79 per pound. Your choice of ShopRite vegetables, 14.5-ounce tin, hot price 99 cents. Scott toilet tissue, 4 rolls, only $4.99. Purex laundry detergent, 50-ounce bottle, only $4.79. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Jane just got diagnosed with dementia. Her doctor recommended home care service. Jane chose Bermuda In-Home Care, a full home care service with certified dementia care specialists available 24/7. Jane and her family was extremely happy when the caregiver showed up on time. The caregiver prepared her meals, reminded her to take medication, helped her with personal hygiene care, and solved puzzles with her. The family chooses Lighthouse Medical Supplies to set up all her durable medical equipments. Call Bermuda In-Home Care, 705-4424. Your one-stop shop for all your home care services and medical supplies. Taking the hassle out of healthcare, call now, 705-4424.
Evocative town and seascapes, portraits of famous visitors, colorful abstracts. The Masterworks collection tells Bermuda's 400-year history through remarkable works of art. It gained a permanent home in 2008, and it's now celebrating 10 years at its gallery at the Botanical Gardens. Hal Davis reports.
It started with the 12 Apostles. A dozen works like this pencil sketch by George Ault called Bermuda, bought in 1987. The Masterworks collection had begun, quickly gaining more traction with works like Winslow Homer's Inland Water Bermuda, bought in 1992. Tom Butterfield had the idea for Masterworks, a collection of art made on or about or with connections to Bermuda. He says the early purchases of works like Inland Water and others by artists like Georgia O'Keeffe helped prove the collection would not settle for second best.
And so we start to make a significant step toward the idea and the ambition that if we could raise funds like this, we can raise the whole bar, the whole awareness, and that this accusation that we were collecting less than artists, secondary and tertiary artists, would soon end.
He's still the driving force behind the Masterworks collection, for the last 10 years housed in its permanent home at the Botanical Gardens. That anniversary is being celebrated by a small collection of portraits, some painted of Bermudian subjects, others of people with a connection to the island, like the famous Karsh photograph of Winston Churchill, who visited Bermuda twice. But rather than famous people, it's the island itself that the collection commemorates.
Some commenter, as a comment that I got earlier today, the Masterworks collection is akin to going to Paris and going to the Eiffel Tower. When you get to Paris, you see the whole view of the city. When you come to our museum, you get the entire view of Bermuda. Its hopes, its aspirations, its past, its present, and in all likelihood a future. So that's the origins of it. That's why we did it.
The move to a permanent home doesn't mean the collection is static. Some works are likely to remain on the walls indefinitely. But Tom Butterfield is always looking for new images to help tell the island's story.
We've covered the waterfront of landscapes and seascapes and things like that. But if there's some other works that combines a landscape and seascape, but there's something else in it, some other element that helps tell the story, then that's the sort of work that we are obviously interested in.
One problem is finances. This Georgia O'Keeffe painting sold for more than $44 million 4 years ago, for example. So fundraising for acquisitions can be a long process. The upkeep of the gallery is expensive too. While Butterfield admits keeping things going is a struggle, he's confident about the future.
We have no government funds whatsoever, but we manage to, year over year, scrape through. And I don't like using the word scrape, but that is a reality. I'd love to think that instead of, how you doing, I'm surviving, I'd like to think how you doing, we're thriving. But financially, we're not thriving yet, but we're trying to set about doing that.
So, optimism for the future. But this painting illustrates how much progress has already been made. It's another Bermuda work by George Ault. Not a hasty sketch like the original Apostle, but an oil in vibrant and unmistakably Bermudian colours. Howell Davis for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And that's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thank you for sharing your Tuesday evening with us. Everyone, we appreciate you. Good night.